government has reaffirmed its commitment to meeting the development needs of all of the communities in the ESSEQUIBO Islands. This was the message delivered by Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa during an outreach this past week to the Region 3 communities of Bonasika, Wakenham, and Legwan. During his address to residents of Bonasika, farmers and residents were brought up to date on government's plans for agricultural development in their community, pointing out that Guyana now leads the CARICOM agenda in agriculture, with the region looking to reduce the food import bill by 25% by 2025. This, he said, places Guyana's farmers in an ideal position to play a major role in this regard.
The comrade talk about 6,000 pounds of yam. What I want us to do in this area here, if we can and continue to do what you are doing in terms of the citrus and the vegetables and so, but if we can have a concentrated effort to produce most of the root crops, sweet potato, edo, yam, dashin, ginger, those things we have ready market in the Caribbean. As a matter of fact, a month ago we were in Barbados, and the Barbadian them used to normally they import most of these produce citrus, fruits, vegetables from Latin America and the Central America. And when you put the pine from Central America and you put the Guyana pine, it's like chalk to cheese. Our pine is so tasty, and the comrades can tell you they use it in the hotel. Who went with us? Lionel went too. And they want now Guyana to supply all the fresh produce for them. But we don't have the amount. That is why we have to ramp up production.
The Agriculture Minister explained that to do this, countries in the region will have to look to their CARICOM brothers and sisters to be the substitute markets for extra-regional products such as poultry meat.
So if we have to reduce this bill by 25%, I mean $2 billion approximately, in 3 years' time, we have to reduce. We have to see what are the commodities that we are importing that we can produce in the Caribbean so that we can stop importing those commodities. And some of the commodities that we are importing, things like chicken product, poultry meat, 98% of the poultry meat and the poultry product that the Caribbean use are coming from outside of the region. 98%, imagine that. How much foreign exchange we have to import that. So that is one of the items that we highlight and we earmark that we have to reduce that importation. So that means Guyana, Trinidad, Suriname, Barbados, Jamaica, Belize have the potential of supplying to the Caribbean all the poultry meat and poultry product. We in Guyana is self-sufficient already, Dr. Walren will tell you. But that doesn't mean that we can expand. We have to expand our poultry industry to be more self-sufficient because we as a national, or we as a nation, we are consuming more, when you look at the per capita consumption, we are consuming more meat than any other Caribbean country almost. But the point I am making, we have to produce more. If we have to produce more meat, then we can supply the Caribbean. The president, who is the lead head on agriculture, had a meeting with all the CARICOM agriculture ministers not so long ago. And he asked specifically what help they need so that we can push the poultry industry forward.
Minister Mustafa stressed that while Guyana is well positioned to ramp up its poultry production, a major import cost is feed, a commodity that costs upwards of $50 million annually. Removing the need to import the corn and soybean, which are the main raw materials used in local feed production, would be a significant step towards reducing the overall Caribbean import bill. He added that Guyana is well along the path to reducing this bill, as a local consortium of poultry producers are about to launch commercial cultivation of the two commodities in Guyana's intermediate savannas at Tekama up the Berbice River, a project that could see Guyana being self-sufficient in these two commodities in the next 3 years.
And what we are doing, we are now, as I told you all, we are helping you to produce. Now we are helping them. We are building the necessary infrastructure in the Tacoma Savannah. Last year, they cultivated 125 acres of corn and soya. This year, that will increase from 125 to 3,000 acres, with a possibility of extending it by another 1,000, right? Yeah. To 4,000 acres this year. What we have done, we have expended close to about $1.5 billion. We are building 40 kilometers of roads in the Tacoma Savannah. We are building a wharf. We are building a silo for them to dry their produce when they reap it. We purchase a planting machine, a seed machine to plant the corn and soya. We give them those facilities.
Minister Mustafa said the government has a comprehensive plan for the development of the local livestock sector. This includes producing our own stock feed, improving the genetics of cattle, small ruminants, swine, and poultry.
The plan of the government is to ensure that we develop the livestock sector, poultry, small ruminants like sheep, goat, develop the cattle industry, both in dairy and beef production. And we have started a program like that. Already we have started that program. And opportunities will come to you too in those areas. So what we have done, we have already targeted that at the end of this year, when we cultivate 4,000 acres, in another 3 years from now up to 2025, remember I told you all that CARICOM would have set them target in another 3 years to reduce the food import bill by 25%. One of the most important sectors for us in the Caribbean is the importation of poultry and poultry products, meat products. So what we are doing, we are working with CARICOM to reduce that bill. At the same time, we are working to build capacity in Guyana so that we can supply the Caribbean and get more market and more opportunities for our farmers in Guyana. So in another 3 years from now, we are targeting 25,000 acres of corn and soya. When we did the calculation, as long as we can cultivate 25,000 acres of corn and soya, 2 crops per year, then we will become self-sufficient. We wouldn't import back no corn and soya. And we will also be a net exporter. Because when you're looking around the Caribbean, there are ready market for corn and soya. That will help us to increase our livestock industry. Not only poultry, we have already seen that the poultry sector has been improving and increasing. We are looking also to develop the other sector, like the small ruminants. In another week time from now, we will receive the first batch of black belly sheep from Barbados, almost 300. We will be receiving eventually 1,000 black belly sheep. The president have already launched that program in Region 5. That doesn't mean that other parts of the country wouldn't have it. But why we did it in Region 5, because Region 5 has a lot of land space, right? And we are targeting a program. The main aim of that is to create a brand. Because when you look around the Caribbean today, you have the New Zealand lamb, and the Australian lamb is taking this market over. So we want to create a Caribbean brand. Caribbean, the black belly belongs to the Caribbean. But that doesn't mean the pure black belly only we will create that brand. When it comes to Guyana, we are working on a program to increase the black belly population and at the same time to develop a new breed. A new breed between our local sheep and the black belly. So that we can create a brand. But where the brand is, we will be making that brand, right in Guyana. So I am saying about the potential that we have. Although the black belly belongs to Barbados, they don't have the land space. The size of Barbados, you know that. We have enough land space, we have enough fresh water, we have enough land for pasture facility, and we can develop it here in Guyana. And that will be a Caribbean brand for us in the livestock industry.
Speaking directly to the concerns raised by residents of Bonasika, Minister Mustafa called on them to partner with governments in consolidating the crops that are currently being cultivated, and then with governments' help to expand. He disclosed that the healthy root crop industry there would be targeted for expansion and that NARI would be spearheading this drive.
I want if we could work together. First of all, consolidate what you have. You can expand what you have. The vegetables, the fruits, the citrus. But let us now work together, and I will instruct the Ministry of Agriculture through NARI that the officers must work along with you. Let us develop the root crops in this area here. We have ready markets for them. So much demand that we have that we can't have supply coming out of Guyana. So if we can do that, if we can start that and we can work with every farmer, I don't know the number of farmers here, how many farmers, about 100 farmers you all have here? 120? 150. If every farmers we can work together with, and depending on the land space that you have, we will work with you all. We will take a part of that to help you to develop it, and we will supply all the planting material and every single thing for that root crop. So at the end of the cycle, we can have tons of root crops coming out of Bonasika. We agree on that?
Following an analysis of the drainage works required to provide proper drainage to lands currently being cultivated at Bonasika, which requires a financial outlay of approximately $120 million, Minister Mustafa assured the residents that despite the sum not being catered for in this year's national budget, work will nevertheless begin almost immediately to bring relief to the community. Across at Wakenham, Minister Mustafa promised a number of interventions, including the provision of an additional excavator for the island, to complement the one that was provided a year ago to bolster the ongoing drainage and irrigation enhancement program there. The additional excavator will be used on a pontoon to help in the maintenance of the many outfalls around the island. The upgrading of all major dams on the island will also be speeded up through the provision of the additional excavator. The Agriculture Minister also visited the island of Lekwan. At all the islands visited, Minister Mustafa assured residents that the promised fertilizer relief program will be rolled out shortly.